Hey guys, how the hell are you? I'm just gonna make sure that technology is working because this is like the third time I tried to go live. I don't know what's up with Zoom or Facebook or whatever the fuck, but we've got issues here. So give me 1 second to make sure I'm in the right place and share this out in a couple of spots, and then we shall roll. If you're on, say hi. Oh, good. Okay, yeah, I'm in the right place. I'm going to pop this into a couple of groups, and we're going to get down and dirty. Thank you for the love. Thank you, thank you. Hear me slamming the keyboard? That's my frustration with technology today. PSA, don't smoke. Oh my God, all these people are here. Okay, this is so good. Maria, Juliet, Brandalicious in the house. Brenda, Kathy, Tammy, hi, 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 hi. I'm going to invite just a few more people. And then we'll dive in. Thank you. I'm excited to do this today. I usually do the whole, hey, let's do a masterclass. Let's send it out to the list and post it on Facebook and have everybody opt in, and then, we'll do it on Zoom. And I was like, yeah, I don't have the energy for that, and it's summertime, and I just want it to be easy, so I'm just going to do it on my business page, and it can live there forever. What the hell, right? The art and beauty of being your own business owner. You can do whatever the fuck you want. It's a beautiful thing. Okay? I think we're good. Good morning. Hola. What's up? Elizabeth, Crystal, Tracy, Wendy, Rachel, Denise. Holy crap, there's a lot of you guys on here. I'm so excited. All right, let me put out my cigarette. So the thing that I decided, yeah, you made it. Good morning. The thing I decided that I wanted to talk about today is how to not be full of shit. And I promise you, this will change your life. This little concept will change your life. And it sounds so simple, but it really isn't. This is about walking your talk, obviously, and how when you embody this, because everything I do is about embodiment. Hey, Stacy, is it gets you the clients that you want. It helps you build your business. And it feels so fucking good. That's the key. Hey, Claudia, how are you? So the question is this. Do you practice what you preach? Or do you talk about what you learn from other people and never apply it? And there are people that do this both ways, and you can tell when you absorb their content, and I'll talk about that in a minute. In other words, if you're a business coach with a shit ton of strategies, are those the strategies that you yourself use? If you're a mindset coach, do you journal, meditate, or do whatever it is that you tell other people to do? If you are a coach in nutrition, health, relationships, whatever the fuck it is, do you do those things for yourself? These things matter. They matter so fucking much. And I'll take it a step further. Do you share how whatever it is you teach changed you? Do you talk about that? This is like the guts of what is called story-based marketing. And it matters, 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 probably more than anything else. I am not a strategy girl. You guys know this about me, right? But this actually is kind of a strategy. It's a customized strategy. And it makes you money and gets you clients. Hey, Katya. So do you share how the stuff that you do changed your life? Are you honest about your own struggles and sharing the lessons that you learned? Are you brave enough to not just talk about your work, but the journey that you took to discover what ultimately helped you, why it helped you, and how it helped you? This is the stuff that matters. Hey, Lisa, how are you? And again, that's the guts of that phrase, story-based marketing. The fact is, and you guys hear me talk about this like all the time, people don't care about you, like at all. They don't give a shit, right? But they do care about how you can help them. So if you're showing up and just talking about your work, that's not enough. It's not enough. If you're showing up and sharing random shit about your life, also not enough. It's the two that work in tandem. Hey, Brandy Weber, how are you? So the people that you see online that are full of shit, they will preach one way to live, but they don't actually practice it in their day-to-day lives. It's not something that they embody. It's the tools that they're telling you to use aren't tools that they actually use. And you can tell. Now, you may not be able to look at whatever it is that you're watching or reading or whatever and say, oh, they don't practice that in their lives. That's not what's going to come across. What's going to come across is you're going to feel it. You're going to feel something is off. Good morning, Sarah. You're going to feel that maybe you don't quite understand what they're trying to say, or you're not quite sure that they can help you. And then you just keep scrolling. This is why. Katerina, how are you? So you'll see people who, again, they'll preach one way to live, but they don't practice it, or publicly talk about how they live all day long, but they don't share what they went through to learn those lessons. And you don't quite understand how whatever it is they want you to buy will materially help you transform, okay? It'll feel like a lack of substance. Or maybe you'll feel like, again, you're not quite sure that they get you, or that whatever it is that they're talking about can help you solve your problems, right? So if you're gonna be like a true leader instead of a preacher or an imposter, your edge ultimately comes from leading by example. And obviously that includes stuff about you and your transformation. This doesn't mean being perfect, right? No one's fucking perfect, and pretending to be perfect is actually the opposite of what I'm talking about. So what it's about is your ability to be a flawed human who's still trying to improve every day and who chooses to show that publicly. That's what makes the difference. I worked with writers for many, many years as a writing coach and editor. A lot of you guys know this. And I used to tell them all the time, like, every story has been written. You're not going to create anything new under the sun. The same thing applies with coaching, mentoring, healing. It's not that what you're preaching is new. It's that your understanding of it and how it shaped who you are and helped you so much is what's different. And so, like, there's a bazillion business coaches in the world. There's a bazillion nutrition coaches, health and wellness coaches in the world. How does somebody choose which one to hire? Well, they resonate with you, and they resonate with your story, and they resonate with what you went through or how you're describing how you went through it. That's your edge. That's your only edge, right? And there's so few people in the world that actually can pull this off, right? I don't know if it's that they lack confidence. I don't know if it's that they're too scared to be vulnerable and talk about what they went. I don't know what it is, and we're going to talk about some of those things later. But ultimately, those are what I call blocks that get in their way of being who they are, and it prevents them from getting the fucking clients that they want so badly. It prevents them from making the impact that they say that they want to make. So that's what we're going to talk about. And like the buzzwords here obviously are authenticity. I don't like that word, but we'll use it. And commitment. It is a commitment. So in a world where, particularly online, everyone is pretending to be somebody they aren't, it can feel really exhausting to actually choose to be yourself and to feel good about it. But if you're not going to be full of shit, and if you're intent on helping real people solve real problems the same way that you solved your own, well, you're going to have to do it. And paradoxically, because it is so unusual for somebody to be themselves online, that's how you stand out, right? Plus, it seems obvious, but it bears repeating. People they learn via stories. People are far more likely to remember what you teach if it's in the context of a personal story they can connect to. Like, how many times have you guys heard me over the years talk about having anxiety and agoraphobia and PTSD, and how ultimately I accidentally discovered mindset work because I was blogging and reviewing what I had written over the months and saw how fucking mean I was to myself and how shitty my self-talk was. And as I stopped doing that, healed myself and built a business. Like, that's a story people can connect to. They get it. They go, oh, wow, this isn't just fluff. It's not just journaling and meditating and being zen. It actually allows you to be a better human and go after your dreams and do all of the amazing things that you say that you want to do with your life, right? So your commitment to excellence, to being better than you were yesterday, it's got to be tangible. It's got to be raw and real, right? You have to be a living, breathing example of what you stand for, and that's what sets you apart. Let me know if this is making sense. Give me some emojis or drop a few comments. Thank you, Maria. I appreciate that. People feel and see and sense when you're real, right? Even if it's just absorbing your content or something that you wrote, when they're in your space, even your online communities, they get it. They get it. And leadership is not glamorous and sexy all the time. It just isn't. But it comes to people who do the work and who align to their goal, right? You want followers? Well, give them something to follow. Be someone worthy of that, right? This requires vulnerability. This requires sharing your shit, right? And nobody likes to do that. Thank you for the emojis. But this is the way that it happens. I mean, even if you drop 20 grand on Facebook ads, if you're not going to show up and talk about who you are and why you do what you do and how it's helped you through the years, you're still not going to make any fucking money, right? This is like common sense. When you open the door to vulnerability in that way, when you share your lessons, your pain, you're taking that first step toward owning your emotions, but you're also creating like that safe space that so many people crave. It's that environment where other people feel like it's safe to grow, it's safe to learn, right? And that really is what you're after in this industry. You are so welcome, Brandy. A leader who says, I don't know, or I was wrong, that creates a safe space for everybody, right? You're setting the tone. Like, nobody's expected to have all the answers all the time and to always be on. You're allowed to just be fucking human. Stacy says, one man's vulnerability is another man's solution. Word, all day long, yes. You know, it also means, and this is the paradox, the great paradox, you're putting yourself on the line. When you do that, you're recognizing, I don't need to have all the answers. And you know, together we'll figure it out, right? So what I'm going to talk about next is 5 ways that you can open the door on vulnerability in business. And I know that this is really uncomfortable for so many people. And like Brene Brown has written a tome of books on this topic because it's so complex, but it matters. It matters. Elizabeth says, this is why I love you, but I'm terrified to share my story. Okay, well, let's talk about that. Let's talk about it. I think everybody is. And again, Brene Brown, pile of books on it. So number 1, genuine connections are actually formed when you're open about your experiences. If you're not talking about who you are, if you're never showing people how you feel, if you're not talking about your struggles and your pain or the things that you think people might judge you for, then nobody actually has the opportunity to get to know you or connect to you at all, right? Now, I'm not saying that in business you should show up and share all of your deep, dark personal secrets. I'm not talking about that, right? I'm talking about the moments that you experienced in the past and now have perspective on. The stuff that you went through and you learned all of these tools that you now have in your business, and they helped you to grow and to change and ultimately heal. And here you stand, rock solid and put back together. This is the stuff, okay? That's the stuff. If you're in the thick of something and you're highly emotional about it, you're not yet in a space where you can learn from it or teach other people about it. That's kind of a given, right? But if you went through something that helped you learn what you now teach, well, isn't it your fucking obligation to share it? Isn't that why you're in business? Because, my God, this helped me so much, I want to share it with the world. Everybody should know this. It's life-changing, right? And again, people want to connect with you so badly. They want to know they're not alone. You're sharing your personal story of transformation. It's the single most powerful thing that you can do for your business, right? And frankly, also for you, yourself. It's like life affirming. It's like, oh, yeah, I did that. I survived that. I went through that. And this is what I used. And this is how I got here. And Jesus Christ, it was just amazing. Like, do you get it? And again, I do this all the time. I talk about PTSD. I talk about anxiety. I talk about my 2-year illness. I talk about agoraphobia. I talk about my divorce 5 years ago. I talk about all of these things. Why do I do that? So that, number one, you can understand you're not alone. But number two, so that you can see the tools that I teach, I use, and they help me profoundly. Tell me if this is making sense. I know I missed a lot of comments. Thank you, Brandy. Katarina says, I'm terrified. Hey, no, everybody is. Tracy says, this is everything. Connection is the thing in all areas. You cannot have real connection without real vulnerability. That's why I love you, Mama. That's why I love you. Love you too, Melisha. Thank you so much. Brandy, I've had this reflected back to me so much lately. People letting me know how my live streams help them. My truth is apparent, etc. Absolutely 150%. It is the only way. It is the only unique thing you have to offer the world, your life experience. That is a fact. Get it together. Tracy says, love the fear. Terrified is not a reason to stop. Word. Unless you want to let it be the thing that stops you from showing up and leaving your mark on the world, it is your choice. Yes, 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 yes. And Katarina, it's not that you have to do it. It's that you get to do it. Absolutely. Okay. All right. So that's the first thing. The second thing, we're going a little deeper. Ready? Take off the armor, babes, please. Vulnerability is the actual stuff that fuels your strongest relationships. It makes them better. It can transform your social media engagement and your client performance. It took you a hot minute to finally figure it out, but yeah, it's a little mental dance, because fear is going to tell you nobody wants to hear that. Fear is going to say, oh, it's too scary. Oh, fear is going to say, but he's going to see me as weak, or they're not going to hire me because I'm so messed up. None of that is true, right? None of it's true. It's just a story. And actually, I'll give you a story. I'm going to have to mark where I am in my notes. I'll give you a story. When I met my husband, I had a multiple 7-figure business and a farm and a horse rescue, and I was breeding and training and showing German Shepherds, and I felt like a goddamn warrior, right? I had it all together. I knew exactly what I was doing every day. Whatever I wanted, I could have. It was on, all good, right? We get married, and 2 years later, I get really, really, really sick, to the point where I lose 50 pounds in less than 6 months. We're running from doctor to doctor. I'm not sure I can work. Something really bad is happening to me. And all of a sudden, I realize my biggest fears come true. I am wildly out of control, and I need my husband to do things for me. And do you know what happened? Number one, I had to acknowledge that that was taking place. But number two, I had to sit him down and have a conversation about how terrifying it was for me to feel wildly out of control within the context of my relationship. I mean, never mind the business, right? It was like, oh my God, I have to rely on him to do things for me. And oh my God, I have to ask for help. And oh my God, this, and oh my God, that. And my mind was telling me the story of how he married me because I was strong and successful and a warrior. And now I was just this puddle of mud, right? And what was going to happen? And he turned to me and said, it makes me love you more. You're multidimensional now. You're showing me your humanity. It's the same with you and your clients. Do you understand what I'm saying? Tell me if this makes sense. The boldest thing that you can do as a leader is to be publicly vulnerable. You take that armor off. You put aside your pretenses. You check your ego at the fucking door and let it go. And a vulnerable leader is comfortable with that. comfortable in the discomfort with not having all the answers. She engages different perspectives and thoughts. She doesn't have to be first with an idea. All of these things that matter, right? And when you are that way in your body, the people around you fucking relax, man. They feel comfortable, they feel good, and they want more of it. This is the stuff that changes lives for your communities. Tell me if this is making sense. So good, Maria says. Oh, Tracy, you're so on. What people think is none of your business. Yeah, we have work to do. Hooah, we have work to do. Absolutely. Okay, good. All right, number 3. Creating a vulnerability mindset shift. You need to start to see the aspirations of your business through the eyes of the people that you lead. Okay, so what do I mean by that? Step back and allow other people to drive the conversation. Again, you don't need to have every answer. You don't need to dominate every chat. You can share parts of your journey that resonate with clients while holding space for them to bring in their end of vulnerability, right? The result in my business, obviously, is that clients feel more connected and more invested in me and my work than ever before. My people tell me things that they don't even tell their spouses. Well, how did that happen? Because I put my own stuff on the table. I don't hide anything, right? And as a result, the community has developed a deep sense of commitment to this work, right? Like, hello, raving fans, that's what you want? Be a goddamn leader. Show them what's what. Share what's going on with you. You want to build trust. You want people to be in your world and absorbing everything that you have to say and deeply devoted to your mission. Then you need to be transparent and vulnerable. Got it? Thank you, Kathy. Thank you, Stacy. Thank you, Crystal. Appreciate that. Okay. Number 4, check your fucking ego at the door. Seriously, this is big. The most impactful moment a leader can have is to just be. Just sit and just listen. Like, stop driving the conversation. Stop painting the vision 24/7 and developing the ideas that everybody needs to execute. Stop answering every difficult question. The thing that I say to my clients all the time that they hate the most is, well, you don't know? If you did know, what would the answer be? Of course, I already know the answer to the question, but they need to come to their own conclusion. Tell me if this is making sense. Hey, Cynthia. You get to sit there and you get to let your people show you what they got, right? When you ditch the ego, you're staying engaged and focused on the actual conversation at hand. You're not listening just to respond. You're listening and you're holding space so that they can come up with their own solutions, which is 100 times more life-changing than anything you could spew at them, right? This is when you can actually hear and embrace your clients. And again, it builds trust, but it also forms ridiculously strong connections. I'll say it again, my clients tell me things they don't even tell their spouses. Why is that? They trust me. Why do they trust me? Because they feel like they know me. Why do they feel like they know me? Because I don't hide anything, right? That's just the way that it is. This is how great business is done. Okay, number 5. Oh, number 5, when people share, great business is done. You want to create space for people to be candid and vulnerable and share with you so that you can help them, right? The single most important thing that you can do every day is work on creating that culture, wherever it is that you hang out, right? So how many trainings have you guys been on with me where I lay it all on the table? I think I've already done it 3 times during this conversation, just talking to you about my life. And as I'm doing that, what am I doing? I'm creating a safe space for you to do the same. How many messages am I going to get after this live stream or emails that say, you know, when you said X, Y, and Z, I just had the exact same experience and I wasn't sure how to handle it, and this is what came up for me. Can you help me? Every fucking time, right? Vulnerability, I understand, is something we resist. We don't actually rush to embrace it. And you can read all of Brené Brown's books on that. But even though we resist it, everybody knows it builds deeper relationships. and it fosters loyalty, and it helps people bring their entire selves to the work that we do. And isn't that what you want? Like, you want people in that state coming to you for coaching or mentoring. And when they do, they're like way more likely to be open and honest, right? And I get it. Like, thank you, Maria. Yes, Stacy, totally. Hey, Karen, how are you? Claudia, it is ridiculously effective because it's real. There's no persona. There's nothing manufactured, right? So yeah, I mean, people, they shy away from vulnerability because they think that there's going to be something about them other people will judge them for, right? Like, somehow, if we talk about this or if we admit this, then we're not going to be worthy of love and connection, and our clients aren't going to want to hire us because we're a hot mess, whatever. That's just fear of rejection, right? So ironically, and again, Granny Brown's research points to this 100 times over, the people that we universally call courageous are the ones who tell the story of who they are with their whole heart, right? They're brave enough to be imperfect. And that means that they can then grow into better versions of themselves because they face their shit. When we have the courage to be vulnerable, something shifts as business owners and true thought leaders, right? We're no longer driven by this fear of exposure. We're driven to communicate openly about what we do want. And that, my friends, is when people give a shit about you and your work. That's when it happens. That's what they want in their own lives, right? Word up. Thanks, Mama. So here are your questions. And like, let's make this a conversation. Leave me some stuff in the chat. What parts of yourself are you hiding in business? And I would like write this shit down and do it later. Start by looking for any parts of your life or your business that you're judging, because we always hide what we feel shame about. What parts of yourself are you hiding in your business? That's the first one. The second one is, what parts of your life do you not share in your business and why, right? And this potentially, I almost said predictably, should bring up a series of stories and lies that you're telling yourself. Like, oh, I can't talk about that embarrassing time because people may not like me, or they might not see me as a leader, or they're going to think I don't have my stuff together, and nobody wants to work with a coach like that. So the first question again, what parts of yourself are you hiding in business? And number two, what parts of your life do you not share in business and why? Like, that's the groundbreaking stuff. And if you're brave enough, hit me in the comments. I want to know. And I'm going to, PSA, don't smoke, have a cigarette, and you guys tell me what you got. What do you not talk about? And why do you not talk about it? What are your biggest fears around sharing how your work changed your life? And trust me, I've heard it all, so nothing's going to surprise me here. Linda says, oh, Linda, this is so good. Linda says, I'm hiding strong opinions because they'll be polarizing. Did you know that you actually want to polarize? Did you know that? The ability to polarize is a radical, radical gift. You don't want everybody. You only want the diehards. You want the ones who would follow you through the fire. And the only way that you're ever going to get them is if you're brave enough to talk about it. You got to polarize. It's like everybody likes vanilla, but nobody really loves it. You know what I'm saying? Like, pick another flavor and have a call to arms around that flavor. That's what you want. Okay, Stacy says, what part am I hiding in business? Shame. What part of my life I am not sharing and why? She's repeating my questions. Okay, good. Brandalicious, I just talked openly about my friend's suicide. Oh my God. And how that changed me in my life, and in turn, the work I do now. That is fucking amazing and brilliant. And I am very sorry about the loss of your friend. Lisa says, I hide the size of my business. Why? And why do you feel like it matters to talk about the size of your business? just out of curiosity. Linda says, I'm raw vegan, unschooling mom, Christian Democrat. Yeah, I know. Go for it. All of that should be everywhere. Katya, I don't talk often about clinical depression I healed from 20 years ago or my divorce. I talk about it inside my Facebook community, but not on my biz page much. Now that right there, sister, is literal gold. Did you know that? I mean, healing from clinical depression, and you're a mindset coach, what in the fuck are you waiting for? That is a gift of the highest order from millions of people right there. Totally. Lisa says, I feel it should be larger and more consistent. Well, yeah, everybody wants to have a bigger business. So my first question is, why do you feel like you need to talk about the size of your business? Like, is that anybody's business? Pun intended. Okay. But it does, like nobody will say to me, yo, Beck, how many clients do you have right now? Like, that matters. You know what I'm saying? So like, why does the size of your business matter? Within the context of what you're sharing to call in more clients or customers. I don't think that that's relevant, but I might not be understanding your question, so keep talking. They do ask sometimes, really? Why would they do that? Crystal says, I don't talk about my pain. I try to make it about them more than myself. Why? That's changing today. Good, change it. Good, good, good. Elizabeth says, I share with my one-on-one clients, but I don't share my story publicly. I'm afraid if I share that I was misdiagnosed with bipolar and took more than 30 drugs and now take nothing and am thriving, I'll be judged. I overcame mental illness by energy healing, mindset coaching, and meditation. Yes, Elizabeth, we have talked about this a couple of times. That shit right there is gold. That's $1 billion business. I'm not even kidding. Because how many other millions of women, myself included, have been misdiagnosed with a mental illness, run the gamut of drugs, only to discover it had nothing to do with that shit, right? And you chose energy healing, mindset coaching, and meditation. So did I. How do you think I got over PTSD, agoraphobia, and anxiety disorder? It certainly wasn't the drugs they were pumping into me. That's just foolishness. I don't know what you're waiting for. That's gold. And with regard to, like, you'll be judged, by whom? The physicians writing the prescriptions, the people who want to keep taking medication? Great, good for them. They're not your clients anyway, so what difference does it make? Polarity is king, I'm telling you. Okay, I missed comments. Karen, 11 years ago, I launched a business that has gone international. I was behind every aspect of the business and I never promoted myself. I was always in the background. Now I'm about to be 65 and I'm ready to leave my legacy and step into my raw talents, and I'm still having a hard time for some reason. Something is up with that. Well, what's up is you've never had to put yourself in the forefront before. And so your mind, the fear, is like freaking out, right? Because it's easy to put yourself behind a product or a mission and never have to talk about yourself. You can talk about all of the virtues of whatever it is you're selling. But when it comes to healing, mentoring, and coaching, it's very different. Yes, people want your help, but they want to know that you practice what you preach and embody those same tools to work on yourself. Elizabeth says, my heart's beating out of my chest. Well, we have something to talk about in the summer mindset program then, don't we? Melisha says, I hide from the abandonment of my mom and dad in fear of disrespecting him because 80% he raised me until his last marriage. Well, I have a couple of things to say about that. Number one, if you're really worried about it, you can have a conversation with your father that says, I mean no disrespect when I talk about this, but it is true for me and it's painful and I think it can help a lot of people. Number one. But number two, how you talk about it matters. Like, even if you didn't say that to him, you could say it within the context of sharing the story. I'm not disrespecting him. I love him. He's an amazing human. He 80% of the time he raised me. But this was my experience during that time. You can still do that. Yeah, totally, Sharon. They're not your people if they're turned off. Helen says, I am slowly getting out of the story that as a songwriter and performer, I shouldn't talk about depression and anxiety. I know it's common among artists and many people, but I also have my other self, my teacher self. Anxiety and depression is so ridiculously common. They should talk about it the way that they talk about like moles. You got a mole, everybody has a mole. Everybody has anxiety and depression on some level. I don't know why it's a thing. Why do we make it a thing? Yeah, totally, Katya. Totally. You need a couch or you need a coach, Maddie? Linda says, I don't know how to present myself. Do I turn on the camera and talk about an insight and describe why I'm doing what I'm doing? Yes. And you do know how to present yourself because I've seen you do a million live streams beautifully. It's not a problem. Okay. Melisha says, you wrote a book about it. Dude, then keep going. You wrote a book about it? That's crazy. Okay. Good, good, good. All right. So everything we just covered, that's what it means to not be full of shit. You're going to show up full on, warts and all, right? And people love you for it because they feel like they know you and they see what you guys have in common and they see how the tools that you use with your clients you actually used on yourself, right? That is called leadership presence. That is what it's called. Maria says, I'm bipolar and tried to get off medication, worked the mindset work, but I couldn't do it. I was misdiagnosed as well. Finally on an antidepressant and a mood stabilizer, and now I'm doing the mindset work and I'm thriving. Some people do need medication, and that's awesome too, and my story to tell, so excited to start. Yes, and I'm actually glad that you brought that up. Medication is a good thing for people that need it. Not everybody is supposed to be medication free. This is why they created that shit. So I am not anti-medication, but I am very much about awareness, and I'm glad that you found something that works for you. That's awesome. What the F's, the fears and the failures in life. I like that. That's good, Melisha. Okay, so leadership presence. It requires confidence, obviously, right? And every client I've ever had in the last 11 years has struggled with self-confidence on some level. That's just a fact. And I think that all humans on the planet do at some point, you know? So there's some things that you can work on around that. Thank you, Maria. And I'll give you 3 just to start to scratch the surface when it comes to confidence. The first one is notice how a lack of confidence gets in your way. Like in that moment when you're resisting doing the thing or saying the thing that you know you got to do, well, what's stopping you? And usually it's the very things you know would make the most impact. Live stream, personal story, all the stuff that we just talked about in this segment on vulnerability, right? That's what's getting in your way, the fear of actually being who you are. Well, why is that? Well, there are parts of you that you're judging. And if you're judging yourself, you're gonna feel like shit, right? Love you too, Linda. So, number 2, check in with yourself. In those moments when you're resisting doing the thing or saying the thing, what are you feeling and what are you thinking? And again, it's usually some form of judgment and criticism, right? And when you are wrapped up in self-judgment, which a lot of people are almost consistently, that shit hurts. It hurts bad and it tanks your confidence, guys. Like you're really just beating the crap out of yourself and then you're wondering why you don't feel good enough to share who you are. It's the greatest paradox ever. So make it a priority to change the way you speak to yourself. This matters. Number 3, you can build confidence over time with small wins. And by the way, that also builds your credibility and enhances your reputation. But the question in this context is, do you celebrate your wins with the same energy that you berate yourself when you screw up? The answer is always no, right? Like we go all in with the negative shit. We dive into beating the crap out of ourselves for the smallest mistake, and then we barely gloss over a win. We do something great and we're like, okay, next. We don't even acknowledge it. And that shit has to stop. It really has to stop. Aaliyah says, what if it's weird? I was plagued with paranormal stuff that I rose way above and learned to combat my fears and take back control, which is why I'm here now. But do I talk about what I experienced? Well, if it's within the context of what you do for a living and it has helped you, then yes. But I don't know what you do for a living, right? So I need a little more feedback on that one. Okay, number 2, under the context of leadership presence. What's your unique voice? Like, as a woman, what's your unique voice? You don't need to sound like a man, right? But you need to develop your own voice and your own point of view. More to the point, Linda was just asking me a question surrounding that, where she was clearly disconnected from her voice. I'm trying to go back and find it. Oh, do I turn on the camera and talk about insight and describe why I'm doing what I'm doing? Well, of course, that's exactly what you would do. But thank you, Crystal. But the only reason that you're resisting that is you're disconnected from your voice, right? So there's a lot of different ways to practice this. I'm getting the most bizarre comments right now. Everybody wants to know if they got the couch. I don't know where it is or what it is, but somebody should post a picture because I want to see it. Okay. Back to voice. Linda says, I sometimes want to rant and preach, but resist because I don't want to instigate a fight. I don't know what that would look like. I mean, you don't want to preach, and a rant implies some sort of anger or upset that probably wouldn't be healthy. And it's certainly not going to help you convey your point intelligently and logically. So I would avoid rant, you know? You don't want to instigate a fight. I don't even know what that means, you know? I just find that odd. Like, what would it look like? Aaliyah says she's a spiritual development coach and you help women rise from the fears of spiritual passion and purpose. Okay, so clearly, Aaliyah, then your experience is applicable. Yeah. I mean, if that's what you do for a living, then why wouldn't you share what you went through to get here? That's completely within the context and framework of your business, and it would probably be super powerful for people. You like the mole analogy, Helen? It is funny, isn't it? Okay, good. All right. Voice. Some women speak in a tone or a manner that disempowers the message. They sound young or inexperienced. Sometimes it's a soft voice. Sometimes it's high-pitched. Sometimes it's not about the tone of their voice at all. It's simply that they're tempering their words, they're hedging, and they end every sentence with, oh, I'm sorry. That shit makes me crazy. Record your voice. Do a little impromptu thing. See and hear how you come across to your audience, right? And do me a favor and do yourself a favor here. Don't use this exercise as an excuse to not show up because you're not perfect, because it's not what I'm saying. What I am saying is you can use this as a tool to improve what potentially could be a weakness, right? Is that who they are, Leah? That's pretty fucking cool. I kind of find that funny, and I'm going to have to Google it when I'm done this masterclass. Okay, number 2. Again, watch the language you're using. Ditch the I'm sorry. Get rid of it. Please, motherfuckers, let it go. Pay attention to how many times you apologize, and just ask yourself whether an apology is actually really necessary or just a bad habit you need to break. Every I'm sorry that really has no business being in that conversation is you shrinking yourself, right? Women apologize for taking up space, for freaking breathing too loud, for moving too fast. Just stop. Stop, stop, stop. Number 3, you can eliminate the doubt when you're delivering your message. So instead of starting off with, maybe you should try it this way on your live stream, why don't you shift to, actually, I recommend this approach and here's how it helped me. Your words would have much more impact, right? That's owning your power. That's also the art of NLP, and you can Google that shit. Practice, 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 more practice. Not in your head, out loud. Practice in the mirror. You're going to be amazed at the difference these little shifts can make for you. Yes, Maria. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Okay, Linda says soapbox like, I'm sick of the drug, meat, and dairy industry's influence on American lifestyles. Then say that. If that's what you truly believe and that's what your business stands for, then say that. But you better fucking own it, right? I mean, not everybody is gonna like that. Not everybody is gonna jump on board and give you a high five. And frankly, I always say if you have haters, that's when you know that you've arrived. If you don't have haters yet, you're not doing shit. Katja says, I'm Canadian, it's in my blood, and I'm very conscious of this right now. Yes, you gotta stop it. You gotta stop it. Maria says, I'm doing it today, paying attention because it's a habit. Thank you for the reinforcement. You are so welcome. Okay. Physical presence is the last piece when it comes to confidence. And by the way, I understand that these are all external hacks, but they're just ways for you to notice how you're holding yourself back, okay? And most of what I teach is mindset and is internal, but this is like a little pivot, a little shift, so you become more aware of what you're doing. The woman who embodies what we're describing right now as a leadership presence is comfortable in her own skin. She's proud of who she is and what she believes in, right? She also carries herself in a particular way. And you can surf the internet or Google celebrities and see exactly what I'm talking about. Stand up and check your fucking posture. Like, bring your shoulders back, hold your head up, and imagine the top of your head's being pulled up to the sky. Like you're stretching out your spine. They've done studies on this shit, right? I'm sure you saw the one about the Wonder Woman pose. It changes you at a cellular level. It affects your mind. It affects your attitude. It affects your energy far more than you could even like begin to realize. Why does this matter? You want to be more confident? Talk to your body. Put it in a place where you're reminding it you're a badass motherfucker. Seriously. When you're sitting, take up space. Like, if you've been invited to the table, it's because you belong there. Don't wrap yourself in a ball and hunch your shoulders and cross your arms and your legs. Like, put both feet on the floor, open up your chest, breathe, and take up space. Is this making sense? These are things that shift your body and your mind, right? And you become accustomed to taking up space. You're starting to feel more comfortable with who you are. It gets easier and easier over time to use your voice. And you need to use your voice if you are going to share your message and your story of transformation. These are the things that get people on board for you. Katarina says, my past get me to my art and my oracle cards. I don't know why the dog is barking. You often have an arm in a chair. I love that. Apparently, I have to mute and tell my dog to shut up. I don't even know if I can mute because I'm live. How about that? It's not going to let me. Hang on. Oh, this is raw and real. You getting it? Yeah, truth matters. I know, it's Sarge. He's very mouthy. What are you going to do? Okay. All right, let's wrap this shit up. 2 tasks I left you with. And these are important. Number 1, what parts of yourself are you hiding in business? Start by looking for anything that you're judging about yourself, right? Because again, we always hide what we feel shame about. Yeah, he does say own yourself. Totally, Malaysia. Number 2, what parts of your life are you not sharing in your business and why? Now, this should be stuff that relates to the tools that you share, the services that you sell, right? And it will bring up a series of stories and lies that you're telling yourself, right? Oh, I can't talk about that. It's embarrassing. People aren't going to like me. They're not going to see me as a leader. Nobody will hire me if I don't have it all together. Like, spoiler alert, nobody has it all together. Stop trying to fake the funk, as Tracy would say. So the goal is to show up vulnerable, be real, and feel confident as fuck about it, right? Everybody wants to work with that person. Own your power. Speak your truth. Nobody's going to do this shit for you. Yeah, I know. Dogs everywhere. You scream, knock it off, and then say to the client, no, not you. That's funny. Okay, good. Good, good, good. Your dog's barking at my dog. Sarge is a cranky old man from a shelter. We'll have that conversation later. Questions, comments, feedback on this. I want to make sure that you get it. I want you to understand, like, yeah, as soon as I say the word vulnerability, fear washes over your body. But this is just a really strong indication. Fear tells you where you need to go. The bigger the fear, the stronger the hunch. That's where you got to go. Seriously. If I never talked about how mindset tools allowed me to overcome everything I've overcome and create a huge business, who would hire me? And so if you're looking for more clients, why aren't you talking about the very things that shaped who you are and drove you to start this business to help so many people? Because of a little bit of fear, it just doesn't make sense. Yes, Maria. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Checking the window, Claudia. That's funny. That's what I got for today. That's what I got. And for those of you who don't know, I am doing a 3-month case study on story-based marketing and the mindset work that goes with it. Drilling down the core messaging, the things that you know you need to share, and then looking at all of the stories and lies that your mind is creating to prevent you from doing said work and talking about those things. Because ultimately that is how you build an empire. It is how you get a thriving business. It is how you get people's attention. Like, attention is the motherfucking currency, as people always say. This is the thing. You're so welcome, Alicia. I'm so glad that you were here. Thanks everybody for being here. The case study is one-on-one work only. It is not a group program. I have 2 slots left. And if you're interested in that, just send me a message and we can talk about it. Fear is a potential hurdle for everybody, Sharon. And you will have it forever until you're dead. It keeps you alive. It serves a very great purpose, but it does not have to stop you from the things that you know are in your own best interest. And we can have a conversation about that too. Just message me. It's all good. And that's what I have for today. I hope that wherever you are in the world, the sun is shining and you're in your body and you're feeling great. And I hope that you show up on social media today and blow people's minds, because that's your motherfucking job. All right? All right. Love you guys. Thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it. And I'll talk to you soon. Bye.